Control your child, or I'll have airport security drag you both out of this cabin immediately." The sharp smack of palm against cheek rang through the first-class cabin of Maple Skies Airways Flight 923, bound from Granville International Airport to North Bay City. Flight attendant Colleen Mercer, her Navy uniform pressed stiff as ice, had just slapped Amara Desjardins, a young black mother holding her 6-month-old daughter, Naomi, against her chest. Naomi's cries grew louder, bouncing off the leather seats and polished overhead bins. Instead of sympathy, nearby passengers sneered, many lifting their phones to record what they believed was discipline. "Finally, someone has backbone," muttered an older man with a tweed cap, shaking his head. Amara's cheek burned red, but her dark eyes never wavered. She adjusted Naomi's lavender blanket with trembling hands, a gold-bordered boarding pass slipping partly into view. "Mrs. Desjardins, Priority Maple Elite," printed in bold, had been entirely ignored by Colleen. The cabin quieted except for Naomi's hiccup-like whimpers and the clicking of phones going live. Colleen smoothed her uniform, her silver service wings catching the soft glow of the cabin lights. She looked around, energized by her captive audience. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced theatrically, "we apologize for the disturbance. Some people simply don't understand proper travel etiquette." Murmurs of approval rippled. A businessman in a gray cashmere coat nodded. "Finally. Standards must be upheld. These kinds of people always cause delays." Amara stayed silent, gently rocking Naomi. The baby's tiny fist curled around her mother's finger, an image tender enough to soften hearts, yet the cabin's coldness only thickened. Colleen reached for her radio. "Captain Ross, we've got a code yellow in first class. Disruptive passenger with infant, refusing to comply." The radio crackled. "Copy, Colleen. How do you want to proceed?" "Immediate removal before departure," she replied, eyes narrowed at Amara. "She's already cost us 9 minutes." Amara checked her phone. The screen glowed with 2 details. 12 minutes until scheduled departure. A text notification. Board meeting starts at 2 p.m. Eastern. Legal documents prepared. She tucked the phone away quickly before Colleen could glimpse more. "Excuse me," Amara said, her voice quiet but steady. "My ticket shows seat 1A. I paid for first-class service. I deserve." Colleen cut her off with a sharp laugh. "Sweetheart, I don't care what scam you pulled. People like you always find tricks to upgrade illegally. I've seen it 100 times." A young woman across the aisle, likely a college student, tilted her phone, whispering into her TikTok live. "Y'all, this flight attendant just slapped a mom with a baby. This is wild." Her viewer count soared, 2,000, 5,000, 8,000, but comments flooded in against Amara. Finally, someone disciplining bad parents. "That mom looks entitled. Flight attendant is a hero. Look at that." Thousands watching, but almost none defending the truth. If you think social media will save you, you're wrong. Subscribe so at least one voice stands with the truth, because silence online is as deadly as the slap itself. Colleen basked in the attention, voice dripping with authority. "Ma'am, if you can't manage your child, I am fully within my rights to have you removed. Airline policy is clear." Amara bent into her carry-on to retrieve Naomi's formula. A glint of platinum caught the light, a distinctive executive card tucked between diapers and bottles. She slid it away quickly, unnoticed by most, but not by Colleen. Her phone buzzed again. Caller ID, Maple Skies corporate office. She declined. Colleen's eyes narrowed. "Who exactly do you think you're calling? Some boyfriend to rescue you? Hate to break it to you, sweetheart, but federal aviation law doesn't bend for your baby daddy." The insult landed like another slap. Passengers chuckled, some muttering approval. A man in a pinstripe suit leaned forward. "Miss, we have connections to make. Some of us have real business. Stop wasting everyone's time." 10 minutes until departure. Captain Derek Ross, a 22-year aviation veteran, strode through first class, gold stripes gleaming on his shoulders. What's the situation? Colleen straightened eagerly. Disruptive mother with infant, refusing instructions, delaying the flight. I recommend removal. Ross studied Amara. A young black mother, designer diaper bag, composed demeanor. His assumptions aligned with Colleen's words. Ma'am, this is a federal aircraft. Regulations require compliance. The TikTok livestream passed 18,000 viewers. Comments poured in. She's getting arrested. Bye Felicia. Ban her from flying. Amara adjusted Naomi gently, her watch showing the engraving only sharp eyes might notice. To my beloved daughter, shine always. A.D. Ross signaled to the galley. 2 plainclothes federal air marshals emerged, their presence shifting the atmosphere from minor disruption to imminent removal. Ma'am, said Marshal Javier Cortez, you need to gather your belongings and come with us voluntarily. Amara's voice stayed steady. I'll need exactly 5 more minutes. 5 minutes? Ross barked. You get 0. Officers, prepare to escort. Phones rose higher, passengers eager to capture the spectacle. The live stream spiked past 25,000 viewers. But Amara's calm unnerved the sharpest observers. She wasn't panicking. She wasn't pleading. She was waiting. Colleen Mercer stepped forward, triumphant. This is exactly why policies exist. People like her think they can manipulate situations with drama. The cabin erupted with supportive murmurs. Throw her out already. Enough of this nonsense. I'm missing my connection to Maple City. The TikTok live feed surged past 32,000 viewers, national alerts beginning to ping on passengers' phones. Viral incident unfolding on Maple Skies Airways Flight 923. Security closed in. But Amara remained utterly calm. She kissed Naomi's forehead gently, then, with deliberate precision, tapped her phone screen and put it on speaker. Hi, Dad, she said softly. I'm having some trouble on your airline. The voice that answered made Captain Ross's spine stiffen instantly. Which aircraft, sweetheart? The tone was calm, but underlined with steel. Amara's voice was clear. Flight 923, first class. Some of your employees are being creative with customer service. A collective gasp swept the cabin. The voice belonged to Edmond Desjardins, the founder and owner of Maple Skies Airways, one of the most powerful men in Canadian aviation. Every captain knew that voice. Every executive feared it. It was the voice that signed their contracts and controlled their paychecks. Everyone stepped back from my daughter immediately. Edmund's voice thundered through the speaker, his words cutting sharper than any slap. Phones shook in trembling hands as the live stream exploded to 47,000 viewers. Comments went insane. Plot twist. She's the owner's daughter. They are done. This is historic. Colleen's face went white. This has to be a mistake. She's just some mother with a crying baby. Colleen Mercer, Edmund's voice cut like ice. I know your employee file. 8 years on staff. 3 previous complaints of discriminatory behavior. Consider this your last flight. Captain Ross staggered backward, his authority unraveling in real time. Mr. Desjardins, sir, surely we can resolve this privately. Privately? Edmond barked. 50,000 people are watching live. Privacy ended the moment your crew put hands on my daughter. Amara lifted her carry-on, pulling out the platinum card she'd hidden earlier. Not a frequent flyer card, an ownership verification card, embossed in gold. First family, Maple Skies Airways. Gasps rippled. Several passengers hid their faces, realizing their sneering comments were already captured forever on livestream. A student filming whispered breathlessly, "Oh my God. She's the airline owner's daughter. I can't believe this." The businessman in the cashmere coat frantically lowered his phone, but screenshots of his earlier insults were already viral. Amara's calm voice carried through the chaos. "Dad, should I mention the board meeting?" "Not yet," Edmond replied, his voice low and terrifying. First, I want to hear from the captain who let this disgrace unfold. Captain Ross's throat tightened. He tried to speak, but Edmond continued before he could form a word. Ross, in your 22 years, do you know how many discrimination complaints have crossed my desk with your name attached? 17. 17 complaints quietly settled. I think today makes number 18. The cabin fell into suffocating silence. Naomi giggled suddenly, the innocent sound piercing the tension like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. And for the first time, the passengers realized, the woman they mocked, the mother they tried to humiliate, the parent they dismissed as entitled, was the daughter of the man who owned every inch of the aircraft they were sitting in. And if you think justice always comes this fast, you're wrong. Most people never see the end of their story. Subscribe because one day the story might be yours, and you'll want to know how to survive it. The lead marshal's hand hovered over Amara's shoulder, but Edmond Desjardins' voice through the phone froze him in place. Touch her, Edmond growled, and your career ends tonight. Do you understand me, Marshal? Marshal Cortez slowly raised both hands. Sir, we were acting on the captain's report. You'll be retrained, Edmond snapped. But the ones who lied? They'll be gone before this aircraft's wheels leave the ground. The TikTok live stream passed 62,000 viewers. Hashtags exploded across Canadian social media. Hashtag Maple Skies Meltdown, hashtag Owneress Daughter, hashtag Flight 923. In the aisle, Captain Ross tried one last defense. Mr. Desjardins, emotions were high, mistakes were made, but this can be handled internally. Edmond's laugh was ice cold. Internally? When 60,000 witnesses are already watching live. Ross, the time for internal ended the second your flight attendant laid hands on my daughter holding my granddaughter. Gasps filled the cabin at the word. Granddaughter. Passengers glanced at Naomi with new eyes. The child they'd sneered at for crying was the heir apparent to Maple Skies Airways. Phones shook as comments flew across screens. They slapped the airline owner's granddaughter. This is historic. Whole careers ending in real time. Maple Skies about to change forever. Amara finally spoke up, her voice calm and cutting. Captain Ross, Miss Mercer, you judged me without a question asked. Would you have treated a white mother in tweed pearls the same way? Ross stammered, his lips dry. This isn't about race. It always is, Edmond thundered from the phone. Every single one of those 17 buried complaints said the same thing. And tonight, the entire world just saw it with their own eyes. The phone beeped, Edmond switched to video call. A massive boardroom appeared on screen, Maple Skies executive leadership team, lawyers, and federal aviation liaisons, all watching the live stream. Passengers gasped as their whispers and insults played back through the cabin speakers. Federal recordings synced with the plane's audio logs. Colleen's voice was unmistakable. People like you always scam upgrades. Ross's words followed. You get 0 minutes. Remove her now. The evidence was undeniable. The Maple Skies head of legal, Clara Mendel, appeared beside Edmond on screen. Under Canadian Aviation Code, this constitutes assault on an aircraft, civil rights violation, and child endangerment. Both employees are terminated immediately and will be referred for federal prosecution. Colleen slumped against the galley wall, face pale. Please, I didn't know she was. You didn't know she was my daughter, Edmond cut in. But you knew she was a mother with an infant. And you slapped her anyway. Her 8-year career collapsed in a single sentence. Captain Ross tried again, desperation leaking through. Sir, 22 years of service. Edmond's fury cracked like a whip. 22 years of covering for your crew. 22 years of prejudice disguised as protocol. Your service ends today. Ross sagged into his seat. His stripes meant nothing now. The TikTok live stream hit 75,000 viewers as news anchors interrupted programming across Canada. Breaking, airline owner's daughter assaulted mid-flight, federal investigation underway. Amara turned her gaze directly into the recording phones. Her voice was soft, but it carried like thunder. For every parent who has ever been humiliated in public without anyone asking if they needed help, remember this moment. Prejudice has consequences. And today, accountability is happening live. Baby Naomi laughed again, a sweet sound that turned the entire cabin into a courtroom of shame. Edmond addressed the passengers through the phone, his words deliberate. Ladies and gentlemen, this flight is grounded. No one moves until federal investigators board. My daughter and granddaughter are safe now. But Maple Skies Airways will never be the same airline again after tonight. Phones buzzed with notifications. Maple Skies stock was dropping 7% in after-hours trading. Passengers sat frozen, realizing they hadn't just witnessed history. They'd recorded it. The aircraft door cracked open. Federal investigators boarded with cameras flashing, their presence turning the cabin into a live tribunal. Passengers shrank into their seats, many realizing their comments, caught on dozens of live streams, would be forever linked to their faces. Naomi blinked curiously at the commotion, tugging at her mother's necklace as if she sensed none of the chaos swirling around her. On screen, Edmond Desjardins leaned forward in the boardroom. Clara, announce the immediate reforms. The Maple Skies head of legal adjusted her glasses and read deliberately. Effective immediately. No crew member may physically contact a passenger without direct safety justification. All passenger incidents bypass local management and are reviewed directly by federal oversight. Every flight crew undergoes 40 hours of bias awareness and advanced de-escalation training within 30 days. Failure results in automatic termination. A permanent passenger bill of rights is being established tonight, protecting families and vulnerable travelers on all Maple Skies flights. The cabin erupted in whispers. No Canadian airline had ever introduced reforms so sweeping, especially not live on social media. Colleen tried to protest, her voice breaking. Please. I have a family, a mortgage. Amara's calm voice sliced through. And I have a daughter you slapped while she was crying. Choices have consequences. Colleen collapsed into her seat as federal marshals placed her in restraints. Her career, her identity. Captain Ross stared hollowly at his gold stripes, knowing they meant nothing now. The live stream soared past 89,000 viewers as Edmond's final decree thundered across the cabin. Miss Mercer, Captain Ross, you are terminated immediately. Your actions will be prosecuted as federal crimes. This isn't just company policy. This is Canadian law. Gasps spread. A few passengers clapped nervously, realizing they had witnessed corporate accountability in real time. How many times do people clap for justice only after the damage is done? If you're not subscribed, you'll just be one of those clapping late in the comments, wishing you'd stood earlier with the truth. The hashtags #MapleSkiesJustice and #DesjardinsDaughter trended globally within minutes. Within 2 hours, Maple Skies Emergency Board meetings streamed live to shareholders. Edmond spoke directly, refusing to hide. Today exposed systemic rot within our airline. That ends tonight. Maple Skies will become the model of dignity in global aviation. Financial analysts predicted collapse, but within a week, the opposite happened. Families who had long dreaded discrimination in the skies flocked to Maple Skies, rewarding transparency with loyalty. 3 months later, the trials began. Colleen Mercer was convicted of assault on an aircraft and sentenced to 14 months in federal prison, plus permanent loss of aviation certification. Captain Derek Ross was found guilty of enabling civil rights violations and lost his license permanently. 22 years reduced to disgrace. Federal Aviation Canada issued new mandatory training protocols nationwide, citing the Maple Skies incident as precedent. But the most powerful change wasn't legal or financial, it was cultural. Crew greetings transformed from rigid commands to genuine hospitality. Families boarding flights were offered assistance, not suspicion. The phrase, "people like you," vanished from the company vocabulary. New signage appeared at every Maple Skies gate. Every family belongs here. Respect first. Always. The college student who live-streamed the event gained 2 million followers overnight. Her documentary, 35,000 Feet, Dignity in the Sky, won awards and pushed lawmakers to pass the Canadian Airline Accountability Act, requiring public reporting of all discrimination complaints. Aviation schools across Canada began teaching the Maple Skies case as mandatory curriculum in ethics and crisis management. 2 years later, Maple Skies was the most profitable airline in North America, with loyalty rates soaring past 95%. And Amara Desjardins, once mocked as an entitled mother, became a symbol of dignity, her calm defiance immortalized in aviation history. Her father Edmond, once feared only as a ruthless businessman, was remembered as the man who turned public disgrace into global reform. On her acceptance of the Canadian Civil Rights Courage Award, Amara said simply, "Dignity shouldn't require wealth or power, but sometimes it takes both to show the world what every passenger deserves." Baby Naomi, giggling on her hip, became the face of a new era in travel, an era where families boarded flights not with fear, but with trust. The Maple Skies incident was no longer just a scandal. It was a transformation, a reminder that sometimes the quiet strength of a mother and the power of accountability can change the skies forever.